Okay, let me be upfront with you. Today, I just wanted to talk about a game I've loved for a very long time, Age of Empires 2. It has been a part of my life for 25 years now. I first played it on PC when it originally released, then later on PlayStation 2, and then again on PC when the HD collection came out. So when I saw the PS5 version on sale for 30 quid, with all the DLCs included, it felt like an easy decision. I've only scratched the surface of this version so far, but everything I've seen has been great. They've improved the game in ways that feel respectful to what it always was. It still has the same soul, but just with more polish. Back in the day, I barely touched the campaigns. I mostly played sandbox matches, sometimes with cheats, sometimes properly over several days, and I couldn't tell you how many hours I've put into this game, but it's a lot. What changed now is that I'm actually appreciating the campaign and historical side too. When I was younger, I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to play the gameplay. And now I'm finding myself pausing midway through a mission to look up the real history behind them. And it's been surprisingly enjoyable. Now, I know there are people online that point out there are many inaccuracies, and that's a fair point. But as someone who's a casual RTS fan, a casual history fan, and someone who loves culture in general, I'm more than happy with what's here. So today, I just want to spend time appreciating a game that genuinely deserves it. For anyone who hasn't played it before, Age of Empires 2 is a real-time strategy game where you build a civilization, gather resources, expand your economy, train armies, and fight your way across a map. You start with a few villagers and a town centre, and from there you develop a settlement through different ages. Dark Age, Feudal Age, Castle Age, and then finally Imperial Age. And as you go, you unlock new technologies and units. And if you're brand new, the best thing you can do is play the tutorial campaign. It teaches you the basics without overwhelming you, and it gives you a sense of how the game flows. Once you understand the fundamentals, wood, food, gold, stone, building up your economy, and training units, you can jump into a skirmish or the main campaigns. It's not complicated to get started, but it can be very deep if you want it to be. For example, you can explore the different civilizations and their unique traits. You can keep it simple or you can go down the rabbit hole, and it's entirely up to you. And I think that's the beauty of this game. It's as deep as you want it to be. Real-time strategy games were a big part of my childhood, but as I got older, I drifted away from them. Part of that is simply because there haven't been that many of them. It's a genre that deserves more love because the games can be incredibly rewarding. The problem is as well, there's normally a divide between PC gamers and console gamers. And I've always gravitated towards console gaming, which then creates a problem when you want to play a real-time strategy game. Most of them are on PC. So I think it's fair to say I'm definitely a casual RTS fan. I know people that take real-time strategy very seriously, but for me, they're more like action RPGs. I use them to relax. Age of Empires 2 is one of the real-time strategy games where I can genuinely switch off my brain, because I've played it for such a long time. And if you're new, there's a lot to learn. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. On the topic of action RPGs, I play them to turn my brain off. So I'm not making a comparison between the genres. I'm simply saying that it's the way in which I play the games. Chilled out, in a flow state. But more on that in a minute. There are countless tactics you can use, different priorities depending on the civilization, and a constant balance between economy and military. But I'm not trying to become a competitive player. In fact, I've not really liked multiplayer games in a long time, and so I don't touch the multiplayer. I just enjoy starting a new game, building up my town, upgrading everything, fighting a few battles, winning, and then starting all over again. I don't play on the hardest difficulty, but I also don't want it to be too easy. The fun for me is figuring things out and experimenting. The randomly generated maps keep things fresh, so every match feels slightly different. Alongside Age of Empires 2, I've also been dabbling in Age of Empires 4, and I'm going to make a totally separate video about this one. But so far I'm impressed. Age of Empires 2 gives me nostalgia and comfort, whilst Age of Empires 4 feels like a modern evolution of the formula. It's different enough to feel new, but not so different that it loses what makes the series special. And as I say, I don't want to go into too much detail here, and the reason why is I want to spend some time with it and then I can give my proper thoughts later on. And I'll do a whole separate video on Age of Empires 4. So recently I was in the mood for construction and management simulation games. Something where I could build, manage systems, and watch something develop over time. And that's the reason why I picked up Planet Zoo. And no doubt I'll eventually make a video about it. But right now, I'm not that impressed with it. Well, not as much as I hoped. The thing is, I actually played Planet Coaster before, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And so my mindset was, Planet Coaster's fantastic, Planet Zoo is made by the same guys, surely it's going to be very similar. Nope, it's not at all. Don't get me wrong, Planet Coaster is not the perfect game, but the foundations are excellent. If you grew up with Roller Coaster Tycoon, Planet Coaster is right up your street. So you can imagine my disappointment when I started playing Planet Zoo, and it didn't quite hit the same way. Again, I feel like I need to give that game more time, and I'll do a video on that. And this is where everything ties together. Even though Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster are not RTS games, they still fall under the broader umbrella of strategy. They scratch that itch of planning, building, and managing something. So when Planet Zoo didn't quite land for me, that same itch pushed me towards Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4. Strategy games that align more closely with my tastes. And that's the only reason why I picked it up. But it's interesting, isn't it? I reflected back on games I'd played before in order to scratch that itch that I'd had clearly in the past. Reflecting back to Age of Empires 2 now, what surprised me most is how much I'm enjoying the campaign. I've been playing through missions, appreciating the stories, and then pausing to look up the real history behind them. I never did that as a kid. I was only interested in the gameplay, and now I'm realizing how much I missed. Yes, I know there's the inaccuracies, and I'm aware of that, but I'm still enjoying the experience. It feels like I'm discovering a whole new side of a game I thought I knew inside and out. But for me, the timelessness comes from the identity of the civilizations, the control you have over the map and the pacing. There's very little downtime. Even when you're waiting for resources, it doesn't feel boring. It feels like a moment to think about where you're going to next. Your next strategic move, basically. The game is incredibly engaging. It's easy to fall into a flow state. And if you've watched this channel before, you'll know how much I value that feeling. Sometimes we spend so much time chasing the perfect game that we forget how good the classics are. That's why remasters and definitive editions are so valuable. But, and this is a big caveat, when they're done right, when they're done properly. They let us revisit something we loved without losing what made it special. I haven't even mentioned the music and the sound design yet. The atmosphere is brilliant, it's nostalgic, but it genuinely holds up. So should you play it if you're new? Absolutely. It's beginner friendly, it's readable, and it's forgiving. And it rewards planning, which is something I naturally enjoy anyway. If you're competitive, you can push yourself. If you're casual, like me, you can take your time. The game doesn't lose its identity either way. RTS games can look intimidating from the outside, but if you want to try one of the best examples of the genre, look no further than Age of Empires 2. It's the perfect starting point. For me, this has been a mix of nostalgia, discovery, and a reminder of why certain games stay with us for so long. Age of Empires 2 isn't just something I used to play, it's something that still has a place in my life, even after all these years. And there's something quite comforting about realizing that a game you loved as a kid can still offer something meaningful as an adult. If you've never played it, I genuinely think it's worth giving it a go. And if you've played it before, maybe it's worth revisiting. Sometimes going back to an old favorite gives you a feeling that new releases can't quite replicate. It's familiar, but it still has enough depth to surprise you. Thank you so much for watching this week's video. If you enjoyed this one, check this video out here, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.